and we're on air.
All right. Hello, everybody. This is Dental Discourse number 4. My name is Jon-Michael.
Hector Babylonia.
And today we have a special guest, Dr.Saul Sztam. He is the Assistant Dean of Undergraduate Studies at NSU.
Yep.
So if you want to start off just giving a little bit of an introduction about yourself.
Sure. Thanks for having me here today guys. As you said, I'm the Assistant Dean of the College of Undergraduate Studies, but I think the main reason you're having me here today is I oversee the dual admission program, which is not just for dental, but DO, all the medical fields, and several programs that are not in the medical field. I've been at NSU for about 10 years. I've been running the dual admission program for about 5 years now. And it's a great program. We are really, in my opinion, the best and brightest at NSU. And this year we had our largest incoming class, about 340 students coming in of new dual admission students, and we have over 800 dual admission students overall, which is by far the largest we've ever had.
So the 340 was for just medical?
No, that's all
programs.
Okay. Yeah. About half of those are DO, so DO's our largest. Dental's probably the next largest, and we have marine biology is a large program, and then a whole bunch of other programs, pharmacy, optometry.
There's even like a law program, right?
We have a law dual admission program, which has been growing the last couple of years as well.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And how long have you been coordinating the program here at NSU?
The dual admission program for about 5 years.
5 years, and that's from start, when the program was started?
No, the program's been around, I would say, about 23 years.
Really?
At NSU, yeah. It started off as a smaller program with mainly a focus on some of the medical, and also psychology was one of the graduate programs that they focused on. And then over time, it's grown more and more. And now we have, for medical, we have the 4 colleges of dental, optometry, pharmacy, and DO. And then we have the College of Healthcare Sciences, which includes PA, PT, OT, speech language, athletic training, and then we also have several non-medical programs.
Right.
Marine, business, criminal justice, computer science, law. I'm sure I'm missing a couple.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So there's a lot of options for students, definitely.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like the fact that it started so small and then you're able to branch out and to make it such a big program. And I don't know, we also, in the first podcast that we did a little bit of research to see what other universities offer like a similar dual program for dentistry, but Nova has gone way above and beyond, not just for dentistry, and where you mentioned now that it just started for psychology, and now offering opportunities for dentistry and even things like law and business. I work at the College of Business for the graduate school down here, and we have a lot of students. Well, not a lot, but we have students coming by that they mentioned to me that they're part of the dual program also. And it's pretty cool to see that, because I tend to forget, since a lot of people here that come for undergrad are mostly like bio majors, very interested in science. Like the fact that Nova also helps out with, like the business career path.
No, definitely. I mean, even some of these the programs that are non-medical, you would think they're not the largest ones, but they've been growing. And the business program in particular, they're doing a lot of things to kind of engage those students with the community, with the business community, with the resources that they have, with their graduate students, with their faculty. In fact, I think it's next week or the week after, they have a luncheon for all of the dual admission business students to meet the new dean. So they do a lot of stuff to engage the students, which is really nice. So the students, the advantage of dual admission really is that you have a reserved seat in your graduate professional school. So you guys, for dental, you're not competing as much with the thousands of other people that are getting ready in dental school. You're really competing with yourselves. As long as you do what you're supposed to do, maintain your grades and DAT scores and all that stuff, you have a reserved spot. In some of these other programs, it's a little bit different, so they offer other opportunities for the students to really get them engaged, and other opportunities for them to kind of grow professionally too.
Right.
So it's they do a good job with that.
Yeah. So now we really want to run through like the whole process of the dual program and how like a student will get involved in that. So starting from someone who's coming from high school, like how do you reach out to those students and like let them know about this program? Because it's a program, from what I know, is that like a lot of people are drawn into this school, particularly for the program and stuff. So how do you get out to those students that are like prospective students in the program?
Well, one of the things, as far as why students come here, I mean, I've met with students and parents all the time, over the years, and many of them have told me, many dual admission students have told me the main reason they've come here is because of the dual admission program. So that's nice to hear that. We also have a dual admission ambassador group, and last year we asked every single one of them around the table, your number one reason for coming to NSU, and maybe because they were ambassadors, but they all, every single one said dual admission. So it is a major factor in bringing students in. Our undergraduate admissions staff does a really good job getting out, not just in the local communities, but all around the country, around the world to recruit students. And they definitely, speak highly of the dual admission program. So when they go out to, visit students out west in California or up north in New York or wherever the different places, each of them have territories. The dual admission program is a highlight of what they talk about. So if a student wants to go into one of these fields, this is a natural fit for them. So that's kind of where the conversation starts and where the interest starts. And then from there, what happens is, our website, our dual admission website, has all the minimum requirements for students in high school. GPA requirements, SAT scores, prerequisite courses, all that stuff. So as long as they meet those prerequisites and meet those GPAs and SAT scores, they have to still apply to NSU, get accepted to NSU, and if they meet those other requirements, they can also apply for dual admission. And then they do that through, the application process, but then they get interviewed through the sharp preview process. Which I can't recall if you guys both went through that.
So that's something we talked about.
We went through together. Right?
We talked about it in the first episode. We did touch a little bit on dual admission, but we're happy to get like real deep into it. But we met through the dual program.
Through the sharp preview.
The sharp previews, and then we were in the same interview.
That's interesting. That's cool. You guys are doing this together.
And now we're doing this, and we've been grinding together. We would take most of the same classes, but now since he's transitioning, it's more of like our own, but like
taking more of like the last couple classes because I had to make sure I got all the credits, like the orgo and all of that the info that I had to know for the DAT, and then now I'm focusing more on like the physics and the microbiome and things like that.
Just finishing off your requirements.
And one of the coolest things that we think about being able to meet through this program is like we get that like competitive edge towards each other. It's like positive competition, and just like working off each other and always like trying to improve. And that's something that's like really cool about the program is that other students we're all interested in the same thing. We're all interested in going into dentistry or whatever the respective programs, and it's like you're able to meet those people and branch out and like just really work off each other and try to like push each other and stuff like that.
And it's like-minded people that they're in the undergrad, but since they're in the dual program, they already have their mind set in like, okay, I'm gonna go to a graduate program. I want to become a doctor, a dentist, a lawyer, whatever it is. And it's people that have a different mindset than somebody who's somewhat like has a misdirection in undergrad when they're not sure what they want to do. But when you're in the dual, it gives you somewhat of like a certainty that like, okay, what I want to do with my life is this. Like, I already made that decision. And it's not like a binded, like, gun to your head, like, okay, you have to do this, but it's, I don't know. I like, and also when we have, like, those get-togethers with the other dual students, it's not just the dental students, but you're able to see people from other fields that it's like, okay, wow, it's interesting to see, just like what I was talking about last time, even the business people. But also, like, doctors, and even now, I think the most important thing in college is networking. And then at the end of, years down the line, whenever we graduate, it's like, yeah, I remember this guy. We were both in the dual program together. Oh, I remember Dr. Parlato. We were in the dual program, and things like that. I think it's pretty beneficial.
I mean, I think what you talked about is an important concept of the program here, is that, all the students that are in the dual admission program, in a way, you're part of a community, and that's important, but you're not competing with each other, which is nice. Like the two of you are eventually going into dental school, but you're not fighting for the same spot. As long as you each do what you're supposed to do, you do well in the interviews, you do everything you're supposed to do, you have a reserve spot waiting for you. You still have to do well in the interviews,
of course,
get your scores and get your GPAs, but you're not in competition with each other, so you can really collaborate more and work together more and build those relationships, as opposed to, okay, we're friends now, but we're going to be fighting for those one spot.
Exactly.
And
so
that's a little bit different mentality, I think, which is
absolutely
better for you guys.
And it's more of like just encouraging each other and like pushing each other, because it's like, it doesn't hurt you for someone to do good, because if you're both are going to get it, if you're both doing good and you're both playing off each other, it's like beneficial for everybody, really.
Definitely.
Yeah, we both know each other's goals. It's like, all right, I'm going to help you if, whatever this subject is, maybe I understand it easier than you, but I want you to understand it because we're both friends, we're both in the program. I want you to be there too. I want you to be with me. And I think it creates like a healthy culture, and like more than the negative competition, like, all right, I'm going to push you down. Maybe I'll even give you the wrong information on the test.
And that happens at other places.
Yeah.
No, it definitely does.
So that's something that I think, which fortunately doesn't happen. And from what I understand too, and I'm not as familiar and as close to the action as far as like when you're taking courses in the dental school and the medical school, but from what my understanding is, a lot of that same approach, that collaborative approach, is what you're going to experience at the next level, which is nice too. It's not I'm the top of my class. You're all working together to be successful together, which is a nice thing.
Yeah, because I have heard that in like a lot of other dental schools and graduate programs, that there's a lot of intense competition, and it gets pretty crazy.
Yeah, no, it can be, and I think maybe there's a healthy portion of that's okay, but I think in my opinion, when you have students that are working together, to me that's always a better scenario. It's a better recipe for success for everybody involved.
And now going back to the interview process with Shark Pew and everything, do you happen to do any of the interviews yourself?
I don't specifically do the interviews for the programs, but what I have done in some cases is if they've needed an interviewer here or there, I'd fill in, or I'd sometimes pop in as kind of a guest interview. So I'm not officially an interviewer. What we try to do is allow each of the programs to provide faculty or administrators in their program to do the interviews.
Okay.
So, for example, in the dental school, it has traditionally been Dr. Lippman as the associate dean for the dental school. Sometimes we'll have an admissions person that he works closely with. So it depends on the program, and some of the programs are strictly faculty. Some of the programs it could be an associate dean. Some of the programs could be a dean. So it just depends on the program and how they choose to do it. But we feel that it's important for the student to experience the communication, the interaction with the actual college that they're going to eventually join in 3 or 4 years. But we also feel that it's important that the college is vested in those decisions, so that it's they're the ones they picked you.
Said this right
2-3 years ago. So now you guys are now going through this process, and you're being successful as undergrads, and eventually end up in a dental school. They saw you at the beginning. They're going to see you again now when you interview. 3-4 years later, and then the kind of cycle continues. So that's kind of how we do it.
Okay.
But I kind of oversee, like, we coordinate with all the different programs to make sure who the interviewers are, and make sure that they're ready and prepared and all that good stuff.
So you touch bases then with the people who do the interviews, right?
Yes. I'm in regular communication with them during all of Shark Preview. Yeah. And
is it like specific criteria that you look for every program individually, or do you guys kind of have like a general sense of what you look for in every applicant?
It's up to the program. So I give them like general scoring rubrics that they use, but each program is a little different. So one program may look for this specific quality in a student, another program may look for that. So it's hard to describe what every program will look for. It's because some of it is subjective. Now the first thing is the student needs to meet the requirements, so they don't interview the students unless they've met the GPA and the SAT scores or whatever. So those are all critical.
Like I think the SAT scores. I'm sorry to interrupt, but the SAT scores even fluctuate between programs.
Right. So within dental and DO, so they're a little different. So dental and DO actually are about the same, and we could pull up the scores and so forth if you want. But then the score is a little higher if you wanted to do a 3+. So like you did a 3+. So if you started as a 3+, you had to have a higher score to have that choice.
Correct.
So for example, for the ACT, I believe it's a 26 for dental, and for the SAT, if I'm not mistaken, it's a 1270. But if you want to pull it up, and we'll double check that. But yeah, it is different from program to program. definitely. So actually at 27 and 12.7.
Right, yeah. So it's
27 ACT and 12.7 the SAT. And actually the 27 just went up to 27 because one of the scores, the SAT, they changed it a couple years ago, and it took a couple years for the scores to kind of get regulated and matched up properly with the ACT. So now it's a 27 and a 12.70. Yeah.
Okay. So now you were talking about the difference between the 3+ and the 4+.
4+, yeah.
So I know that like being in the program, you're allowed to switch if.
You can request for a switch. Yeah. You can request a switch, and there's a process that we follow where you can do it at the end of the fall or winter semester. So there's 2 times a year where you could do it. And the whole idea of it is, well, first we ask that you're sure if you're going to do it. So what we can't do is, because these programs are holding these spots for you.
Right.
So we can't have it like today you want to go 4+, tomorrow you want to do 3+, next week I want to be a pharmacist, and next week I want to be a lawyer. You know, you have to kind of know what you want to do. So. So you can request a switch. You have to have an academic plan that you worked on with your advisor. Kind of shows that your new program that you want to go into is, you know, it's something that you can actually handle, something that you can actually do in the 3 or 4 years that you're going to do it. And then we'll go through the request with you. I'll usually meet with every one of those students, and then we'll work with the college to make sure that they'll approve it, because they have to approve it since they're the ones.
Of course, yeah, it's their spot.
Yeah. So.
And what was, because I remember there being like 2 options within the 3+4. There's like 2 routes that you can take, or is that just, I might be completely wrong. But I don't know if there was an option where like your last year, what would be considered your last year of undergrad, would be like the first year of the graduate school, or.
Okay, so really, I guess there's 2 ways to look at the 3+.
Right.
If there really is only one 3+, but if you can actually graduate in 3 years, it's technically not a 3+ because you're graduating just a year early. So what you're doing is you're just changing your transition year.
Yeah. So
let's say if you came into Nova, and we're actually getting more and more students every year that come into Nova with a whole bunch of college credits from high school.
Yeah.
Like they had
that was
AP,
my case.
So you had AP, College Academy, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So if you're actually going to graduate in 3 years, the 3+ really doesn't apply to you because you're going to actually get your degree in 3 years.
Oh, okay.
The purpose of the 3+ program is really for somebody, forget about those high school college credits, is for somebody that you finish in 3 years and you're not really getting your degree yet. Your first year of dental school counts as your last year of undergrad.
Okay.
So that's a little different than I'm graduating in 3 years.
Right, okay.
It's a little bit of a difference.
So I was just looking at it.
You can do either one. The 3+, the disadvantage with the 3+, in the traditional sense, is that you don't actually have your degree after 3 years.
Right.
You won't get your degree until the first year of dental school. And you also have to meet all your degree requirements in 3 years except for your open electives. If you're transitioning in 3 years, that just means you had extra credits and you can actually graduate early.
Oh, okay.
So.
Yeah, because I think with Hector, he came in with credits. So he's in the 3+, but it's like what you said, where he's technically graduating.
Which is fine, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so all I did was just change my transition year, basically.
Right, but since you're in the 3+, it works out fine.
Yeah.
We don't need to do anything to change that.
Did you want to get into like the DAPES program and how like that works?
Sure. If there's a student out there that's a first-year student at Nova, and they're not in dual, and they really want to be in dual, maybe they applied and they didn't get in, or didn't
just didn't know about it,
or didn't know about it, whatever the case is the DAPES program, which is on our website. It stands for Dual Admission Program for Enrolled Students. That offers the opportunity where you can apply after your first year at NSU. You have to meet at least a 3.5 GPA, cumulative in science, and a certain couple courses that you have to take, letters of recommendations and so forth. But that's another way to get into the dual program.
Right.
So it's another option too, and it's a nice option because not all students get into dual. When they apply, of course, especially in a program like dental, which is very competitive. So a lot of those students will still come to Nova, and then they have that year to prove themselves and get a 3.5. As you know from being a student here, a 3.5 is not as easy as it sounds.
Yeah.
Sometimes a student in high school will say, or a parent will say, well, it's no big deal. My kid had a 6.8 in high school, but obviously the GPAs are different.
Scales,
the honors courses and so forth are weighted GPAs, and you don't get that here. So a 3.5 GPA is a tough GPA to get and to keep. So they do have to work hard when they come here.
Especially just like you said, being a student. like for a first year student, that's even harder because some of the classes you can not do so well and adjust and like do better. But if it's only that 1 year to get that GPA, like you might not be able to. It's like real tough.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that was really...
And also there's it's where you have all these requirements to meet, right? And if you don't meet them for the year, you get put on academic probation for the program.
You mean if a student that's in dual admission?
Yeah, right, in dual admission.
Right, so if a student is in dual admission and they don't meet the GPA requirements, the first semester that happens, they will be on probation. Mm-hmm. If it happens again, then they would be suspended from probation. So yeah, I mean, it's you have to meet those high expectations. Mm-hmm. But you know, again, for these dual admission programs, typically the highest GPAs are around a 3.4, like for dental and DO.
Right.
I mean, if you weren't dual, you probably need a 3.6, 3.7 to be competitive.
Yeah, anyway,
so if you have to get a 3.4 to keep your dual spot, you should be getting that anyway.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, we do have some students, unfortunately, that don't maintain their GPAs and get into that kind of trouble. Mm-hmm. But we also have many dual students that have a 3.9, 4.0 GPA all the way through. So it's just really a high level of quality student that we have in the program.
Okay, and now through accepting students, have you noticed something like a particular quality or anything that's like these students really have what it takes and they make it through? Because like you said, a lot of people may not make it through even the undergrad portion of the dual program. So is there anything that you noticed that's like a quality that a lot of the students have that make it through?
I mean, it's a good question. It's hard to answer because every student's so different.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's hard to say, you know, one particular type of student. I think, you know, some things like themes that I notice, you know, students that take it seriously. You know, every so often you'll talk to a student and they'll kind of be a little too overconfident about, you know, their grades and stuff. You know, just listen for a second. It's pretty tough study. You know, don't take it lightly. You know, so you know you want students that, you know, are going to take it seriously. They understand this requires a lot of studying, and you know, somebody that has a balance. You know, because I think it's important for students to get engaged on campus and make connections and take on opportunities, as you guys have done. But you have to be able to do that and balance your academic life.
Yep.
So if you do, you know, 100 things and then you don't get to study, so that's not good either. So you have to find the right balance of, you know, getting engaged, getting involved, doing all those things on campus that really are amazing opportunities, but also being able to put the time that you need to study and, you know, use the resources. So I think, you know, I've noticed the students that are, you know, organized, that, you know, when they come to a meeting, they kind of understand, you know, they already have like questions set up for you. I mean, those are the kinds of students that you could tell they kind of like work on things ahead of time and they know these are the things I need to do in steps. It's the ones that sometimes are waiting for everybody to kind of tell me what to do. Right. I think that's a little tougher. You want to take a kind of initiative of your you know, of your education, of your life, and I think that's important too. But again, it's really a tough question because every student is different, and you know, what works for some students don't work for others. But I think overall, you know, getting engaged, getting involved, using the resources on campus, being organized, and just finding a good balance to be able to study and be successful is important.
One thing I wanted to touch up on is something that you said with being confident and like comfortable, because I think that's like something that is an issue with a program like this, is where you accept the students and then they think like, oh, I'm good. Right. Which is, you know, like you said, it's not the case, and it's like, how do you convey that to the students? Because people who are young, like just being young, it's like when you hear something like a program like dual, it's like sounds.
It's like a guarantee. You know? I'm in 100%.
Yeah, and like you said, it's not. So like, how do you really accurately convey that to students so that they realize the severity of like not messing up when it comes to this? Because it's a really great program to be in, and it's a really like a privilege, and to mess that up, you know, it's not good.
Well, one of the things I do when we have our information sessions is I try to give some of those examples. You know, I tell them, you know, the reason we're here today is so that you understand what all the requirements are and all that, because unfortunately, not all of our dual students keep their status. And I tell them the reality of it. You know, when I have to meet with a student that lost their dual status, it's a really tough part of my job, you know, because you feel really bad for the student. Yeah. But unfortunately, we have requirements to uphold, and, you know, unfortunately, they didn't do what they needed to do. So it's you know, so I think for them to understand that it's a reality. It's not just, oh, well, you know what, if I don't do well this semester, you'll give me another semester and another semester and another semester. I mean, you don't have that many semesters, because if you don't get your GPA up right away, you're never going to get it to where you need to be to get into dental school.
No, for sure.
We can't give you all those semesters. You have to get it if you don't get it right away, you get one semester and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important for them to understand, realize that it's real, that the GPA expectation is real.
Mm-hmm.
And I think once in a while when you're in those meetings, you kind of see their eyes kind of look at you like, oh, wait a second, I better go study.
Yeah.
Because I could lose my dual status.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a guarantee. It's not. That's why we're very careful not to use guarantee. The parents will love to use guarantee, which is because it sounds
right.
good,
Yeah.
but we're very careful not to use that because we don't want them to be misled and their students to be misled to think that they can just come and relax. They need to work hard. They need to get their grades and do the things. Excuse me, the extra things that they need to do. Even things like shadowing and research and all those things are all important.
Mm-hmm.
So they still need to do all the right things to put themselves in a good spot.
And from your experience, from those students that do end up completing the undergrad portion of the dual program, what's in general? I don't know if you have any information on this, but the success rate of like those students once they're in the graduate program. Are they generally successful once they reach their graduate program?
Yeah, what we've seen from the data that we've received through institutional effectiveness is the students that go through dual admission and go into our graduate program are more successful even than the students that don't, that they accept from other places. Keeping in mind that the dual admission students have an advantage with GPA and the scores. So our students are doing well in those graduate programs. So that's important.
Mm-hmm.
Our students usually do very well during the interview process as well. We've had a couple of incidents in the past few years where a student is kind of, like you mentioned, maybe was a little overconfident going into the interview process, and it showed, and that's not good either.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you go, just because you have dual admission, the college still makes the final decision. So even if a student meets all the requirements, the college can still say, you know what? We're not taking that student. The student said this and this and that about this person, and that's not what we're about. So I think it's important to take it seriously and and be professional all the way through. And up until through the whole process, and then even when you're in the program. I mean, you have to to maintain that level of professionalism all the way through.
And that's really interesting what you said about the success that some of those students that go through dual are even more successful than those who don't. And that's something that you might not even realize, because I feel like most people, upon hearing like the program and everything, might think that those students would be like more relaxed and more. But like if they're not, then that's like a very big deal.
We're talking about even comparing, not just comparing to dual students from here that didn't go through. We're talking about students that are coming from around the country, around the world. So based on what we saw, that it appears that the dual students do as good or better as those.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really good to hear.
And that just shows that like the program is working and
the effectiveness.
Awesome. I think so, and I think part of it too is I think the students that are coming through the dual program, they already have that kind of connection to those programs. So it helps that they're already from NSU, that they've already like worked on, like this is just like part 2 of their journey as opposed to coming from somewhere else where now they're starting a brand new.
It's more of a shock.
It can be, definitely. So I think it's a nicer transition for. And then we also have a lot of excellent dual students that end up going to other colleges, and that's okay. I mean, of course, personally in the program, we always prefer that they all stay. But if a student does so well as an undergrad and they have options and they go somewhere else, that's okay too.
Right.
I mean, I think it's wherever you're going to be happy and successful as a professional. Down the road, I think that's we're happy for you if we were able to contribute in some way. So
absolutely.
I think on that note, it's pretty good to. I mean, I think we can wrap it up. Yeah.
I mean, thank you for coming on this today.
Yeah, thank you.
And I think we provide a lot of good information for dual students, for people who are prospective dual students, or just people who don't even know about the program. I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to find out about it now, like for the first time.
Sounds good. Perfect. All right, great. So call NSU admissions.
Yeah.
More questions about the program.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Sztam.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right.
All
right.
right.
All right.